Continue the diary of Wimpy Get Hard Luck. This is part 4. So, the school invalidated all the hero points printed on white paper and created a whole new batch on green paper. But it didn't take long for people to start making copies on green paper, and the whole thing started all over again. Every time the school changed the color of the paper, there would be fakes made within 24 hours. Finally, the school started punishing kids who turned in more than 5 hero points at a time, because the teachers saw that as proof they were counterfeit. But that wasn't fair either. Marcel Templeton, one of the nicest kids in our class, got put in detention for the rest of the month, even though he'd earned his 35 hero points legitimately. Eventually, the janitor busted one of the main counterfeit operations when he walked into an empty science room that kids were using as their base. The school cancelled the whole Hero Points program after that, which stinks because now that extra recess is off the table, nobody's willing to do anything nice. A little help? Sunday. I think Mom took that stuff I said about popularity with kids my age to heart, because today she took me out clothes shopping. Ordinarily, I can't stand going clothes shopping, because the only time we do it is at the beginning of the school year, and once a year is enough for me. 50% off collared shirts. These khakis will go great with that tank top. I've done a lot of boring things in my life, but nothing saps my energy more than back to school clothes shopping. Come on, just a few more pairs. Usually, Mom takes us shopping at this place downtown called Frugal Freddy's. I think the people who run that store understand guys, because they give us our own little area to sit in while the women shop, the dude zone. Last September, Mom took me and Roderick to Frugal Freddy's and picked out all her clothes for us. Unfortunately, she forgot to come get us after she was done shopping, and she got all the way home before she realized it. We must have been in there for 3 hours before Mom came back to get us. Well, today I was actually excited to go clothes shopping. I got 2 pairs of jeans and 3 shirts, but the thing I was most pumped about was the shoes. All of my shoes are hand-me-downs from Roderick, and whenever I get a pair of his shoes, I have to spend a few hours scraping the bubblegum off the bottoms. The only time I had a new pair of shoes was in 4th grade when Mom got me some trainers for the first day of school. I told her I've never heard of Sportsters before. She told me they were from Europe and had space-age technology, so I was all proud of my new shoes when I went to school. But at recess, the rubber soles on both shoes fell clean off. I was upset, and when I got home, I showed Mom, who said not to worry and that we'd take them back to the store and get new ones. That's when I found out she'd bought the shoes at the dollar store and the whole space-age technology thing was just a bunch of baloney. When Mom said she was taking me shoe shopping today, I made sure she knew I was only interested in name brands. It wasn't easy deciding which shoes to get though. There are about 1 million different types and each one is supposedly good for a specific thing. There are shoes for hiking, shoes for running, shoes for skateboarding, and a bunch of other ones too. There was a pair of fancy high-tech basketball shoes I really liked. They had some sort of things in the soles that's supposed to make you jump higher, and I was seriously thinking about getting them. Max Lift 5 with jump technology. But I got nervous that if I bought those, I'd be totally out of control on the walk to school. Then there was a pair of green cross-turning shoes that really looked awesome, but on the box it said they were for the serious athlete. So if I got those, I think they'd just be wasted on me. I even thought about getting a pair of those shoes with wheels in them so I could blow by the Mingo Kids boots every day. I finally decided on some shoes that were sporty but not too over the top. Mom asked me if I wanted to wear them home, but there was no way I was gonna let my shoes get dirty before I wore them to school for the first time. Plus, it gave me a chance to enjoy the new shoe smell all the way home. Monday. I never noticed how dirty the ground is until I got my new shoes. And not just the actual ground, but the street and the sidewalk too. The way to school is like a minefield of mud and grease and other junk, and you practically have to be a ninja to avoid all of it. In fact, after getting only one block from my house this morning, I turned around and went back inside. I got some of those plastic grocery bags to put my feet in, and for a while everything was good. But eventually the bottoms of the bags got shredded, and then they didn't give me any protection at all. So I just stripped the rest of the bags off and threw them in the nearest trash can. After that, I did my best to avoid the danger areas. I stayed on the pavement until I realized I was getting pebbles in the little grooves of my shoes, and I knew those were going to take forever to dig out with a stick, so I tried to minimize the amount of rubber that touched the cement. Eventually, I gave up and just walked on the grass. By the time I got to school, I was 20 minutes late, but it was totally worth it to show up in style. Unfortunately, we were having a pop quiz in geography, and I had to try and catch up to everyone else. A few minutes into the quiz, I noticed a really terrible smell. At first, I thought it was Bernard Barnson, who usually doesn't smell too good in general, but this was way worse than usual. I took my stuff to desk at the back of the room so I could concentrate on my quiz, but the smell followed me, and that's when I realized where it was really coming from. I must have stepped in dog poop when I walked on the grass, and I knew exactly where that had happened too. I took my shoe off and went to the front of the room to tell Mrs. Poop about my situation. But I think Mrs. Poop thought I was trying to skip out on the pop quiz because she gave me a plastic bag to put my shoe in and told me to return to my seat. By now, the rest of the kids had figured out what was going on, and everyone had a good laugh at my expense. Usually I found poop as funny as the next guy, but that's when someone else steps in it. In fact, the best time I've ever had with Rowley was on the 4th of July, when his parents took us downtown to see the fireworks. We had to get there a few hours early to set up our blanket in the park. One of the police horses unloaded right on the main path where everybody was walking by, and the two of us spent the rest of the night watching people's reactions as they tried to avoid it. Those were some good times, but I guess they're all over now. What really makes me mad is that if everything was the way it was supposed to be, I would have been walking to school with Rowley this morning and he would have been doing his job of scouting ahead. But Rowley had to go and get himself a girlfriend, and now I guess I'm the one who has to suffer. I had tracked Rebel's mess all over the classroom, and they had to call in Mr. Meeks to clean it up. He kept shooting me dirty looks, which made it really tough to concentrate on my pop quiz. After class ended, I went to the front office to see if there was anything they could do to help me. The school secretary let me look through the lost and found box for a replacement shoe, but the only thing there that even came close was a girl's winter boot. Right then, Mr. Noon came out of the teacher's lounge, and the secretary asked him if he happened to have any spare shoes. Mr. Noon said he actually had an extra pair in his office, and he went to get one for me. I never noticed before, but Mr. Noon has some gigantic feet, and I hope just because he lent me his shoes doesn't mean I have to keep playing checkers with him at recess. So that's it for today. If you want me to read another book, you can comment down below, and I'll continue this book tomorrow if you want me to. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.